influence and does not force to go for one or the other direction. It's different for architects, it's different for the other professions for which we have harmonized training requirements. There, of course, it's binding on the member states that cannot go below the standards that the directive has set. So the levels for engineering, the levels are the 4th and the 5th level. We only have 5 levels in the directive, so it's the 2 upper levels. Here it's described, it's the number of the article, so you'll see that it's not 11.5 and or 11.4 and 11.5, but 11D, 11E. It's a little bit strange maybe for you, but it's the discussion in Council that was such that member states were quite reluctant to have this 5th level, and therefore, well, it's more cosmetic that we don't call it 5 levels and we call it from A to E, which is, well, a kind of not making it obvious that we have 5 levels. Before, in the legislation pre-existing, we had 4 levels. But we had a rule also saying that so the 4th level was 4 years and beyond 4 years. And in the previous system, we had a rule, a clause hidden somewhere, which said that if a member state had in fact more than 4 years, it would not be bound anymore by the system of bridging, which I will describe just in the next slides. And therefore there was in fact a hidden 5th level. It was there, but it was hidden. And we thought as the Commission, and I remember that the Parliament was of the same opinion, that it should become more transparent. So we proposed a 5th level. And that was that created a lot of concern in member states, in particular those having 4 years duration, because they saw that according to what we had proposed, the 4 years duration would be in the 4th level, which was not then the highest level anymore, and therefore there was a kind of battle in Council around this 4 years duration training. Some member states wanting it to be still in the highest level, which would then be the 5th level, and others claiming, well, like we would claim, why normally it should stay in the 4th level where it was before, and the 5th level is just to make apparent something that was there already. So it seems quite complicated, but that's the reason why we have this clumsy rule now, that 4 years is in both the 4th and the 5th level. So that's the result of those discussions and compromises in Council, that you have as a member state basically the choice between putting your 4 years duration training either in the 4th level, so 11D, or to put it in the 5th level, 11E, because in 11E you see it said that it is post-secondary level of at least 4 years duration, which means that of course it's 4 and above, and the 4th level is 3 up to 4 included 4. So, clumsy as I said, but I mean you may understand why we came to this. So obviously member states have now to make a choice. When they have 4 years duration, they have to choose in which level they will classify that. So the recognition scheme applies when the migrant is at the same level than the requirements of the member states. So if the migrant has a level E and the member states requires a level E, there is no problem at all. But it also functions if the migrant has a training in 4th level and the member states ask a training in the 5th level. So there he can jump to the upper level, so that's the bridging facilities. And it also functions if the migrant comes from a member state which does not regulate, which doesn't mean that he is not trained, because he can come from a member state who has a training delivered, and that is so he's qualified. He can exercise a profession in his home member state, and therefore he has also the right to enjoy recognition, but there is a supplementary condition, is that he should have 2 years of professional experience. So as I said, bridging is possible between 4th and 5th level, but there is one exception to this rule of bridging with the immediate prior level. I spoke about the 4th and the 5th level, so that's where engineering stands, but there is also a level underneath, which is the 3rd level, here called level C for the reasons I explained before, so it's level C. In the previous system, we had a rule, and we still have it, that you can, of course, bridge from level 3 to level 4. I mean, the principle is always the same. You can bridge from the immediate prior level to the upper one. So you can bridge from level 3 to level 4. Level 3 is post-secondary education training of at least 1 year, which means that you can bridge from post-secondary 1 year to post-secondary 3 years, from the 3rd to the 4th level. It is a fact that in the 4th level you can have, of course, these 4 years training, because as I explained before, these 4 years is both in the 4th and the 5th level. What we should avoid to have is that if a member state says, for me 4 years is in the 5th level, that this will have as a consequence that you cannot have this bridging anymore from the 3rd level to the 4th level, or from C to D. Therefore, Article 13, paragraph 3 says that in this particular case, so if you have 4 years duration, whether you put it in the 4th level or on the 5th level, you have to allow for this bridging facility, because that was what previous directive offered. So the new directive cannot go a step backwards in terms of mobility possibilities. So it also seems to be quite complicated, but again, it's a result of the fact that the 4 years have been put both in the 4th and in the 5th level. In putting it in the 5th level, we had to kind of correct the effect that that could have on recognition possibilities. So now, of course, if you have to facilitate bridging, that doesn't say that you cannot ask for compensation. I mean, it's quite obvious that, especially if you have 1 year training, and if you compare that with somebody having 3 or 4 years university education, that is not equivalent. I mean, that's obvious. So the directive allows for the member state to ask for compensatory measures, and there are 3 possibilities. I mean, there are 3 cases where it's recognized that it is possible to ask for them. Is that when the training duration, the difference is at least 1 year difference, which was the case in just what we discussed before. If the training covers substantially different matters.